You expect the sleep disruption, you expect the hot flashes, but then you catch yourself rubbing your eyes again. They sting, they feel intensely gritty by mid-afternoon. Most women assume they need to turn down the brightness on their monitor, or that they are simply staring at screens for too long. This chart shows the demographic breakdown of dry eye disease patients. Notice this massive portion here. 61% of all cases are women, and the risk climbs sharply after age 40. Your eyes are packed with hormone receptors. The decline in circulating estrogen leaves the ocular tissue without its primary support signal. Using standard lubricating drops to fix this is like putting a bucket under a leaky roof. It handles the immediate discomfort, but ignores the structural breakdown happening across the entire ocular system. Let's look past the surface. If we dive into the tissue of the cornea and the tear glands, we find estrogen receptors embedded throughout the cellular network. Under normal conditions, these receptors receive steady signals from circulating hormones. Estrogen tells the lacrimal glands to produce the watery part of your tears, while androgens signal the meibomian glands to release essential oils. This cross-section illustrates your tear film. Watch what happens when circulating estradiol levels drop up to 20 times lower during postmenopause. The lacrimal glands lose their stimulation, and the central aqueous layer rapidly thins out. At the same time, androgen levels decline. The outermost lipid layer, the oil that traps the moisture in, becomes unstable and breaks apart. Whatever moisture is left simply evaporates. Without that protective shield, the bare surface of your eye is exposed to the air. This exposure causes the immediate, painful sensations of stinging, watering, and light sensitivity. This breakdown on the ocular surface triggers a cascading biological failure that reaches into the deeper structures of the eye. Deep inside the anatomy, away from the painful surface symptoms, the eye undergoes a second set of hidden structural changes. Estrogen supports the trabecular meshwork, the internal system responsible for draining fluid. When estrogen disappears, that drainage slows down, leading to a slow, measurable rise in intraocular pressure. This line graph tracks the findings of the Rotterdam study. Look at the divergence here. Women who reached menopause before age 45 faced a 2.6-fold higher risk of developing primary open-angle glaucoma compared to those who reached it later. If we move even further back, past the fluid chambers, we reach the visual processing center, the retina and the optic nerve. Research shows that a specific type of protective receptor, ER-alpha, completely disappears from retinal tissue in postmenopausal women. This leaves the retinal ganglion cells, the delicate neurons that form your optic nerve, highly vulnerable to systemic inflammation and oxidative stress. The stinging on the surface is a daily nuisance, but this unseen, deep tissue vulnerability poses the true threat to long-term vision retention. You cannot patch a multi-layered structural collapse with a single ingredient. Supporting the eye at this stage requires a targeted combination of biological inputs. We start with this molecular model of DHA. This omega-3 fatty acid is a critical structural building block, making up roughly 50% of the polyunsaturated fats in the retina. It integrates directly into the cell membranes to stabilize the photoreceptors. Next, we have ginkgo biloba. It actively supports the vascular supply, restoring vital microcirculation to feed that increasingly vulnerable optic nerve. Then, compounds like phosphatidylserine, a phospholipid crucial for neural tissue, work alongside B vitamins to form a defense mechanism, protecting those exposed retinal ganglion cells from degeneration. The eye and the brain develop from the same embryonic tissue and share a common biology. Both rely on estrogen-dependent neural pathways that begin to lose their primary support signal during the menopausal transition. DHA and phosphatidylserine stabilize the cell membranes and axons of retinal neurons, while simultaneously supporting the neural networks involved in cognitive focus. By addressing this shared biology, these nutrients target both visual fatigue and the neural fog associated with menopause. True relief from these changes requires internal neuroocular biological support. Addressing this underlying shift empowers you to feel strong, focused, and protected from the inside out.